Hey, my name is Neeraj Gupta. I hope you're having a good holiday season. So in this video, I'll be discussing a few things. Number one, I'll be discussing my proposed week one definition and how that's evolved throughout the course, my Christian character index results. Then I'll be discussing the leadership interview project as well as various elements from the course that have aided me in this endeavor and what really stood out to me in this whole process. So, to begin with, number one, concerning my proposed definition of a leader, it was a leader is a mediator between present tasks, right, and vision. So, concerning present tasks, it's really the means by which the leader gets to the goal. And I think it's a pretty broad stroke that covers all the areas actually discussed in the course. So, my definition hasn't changed from the beginning to the end of the course, but what has changed is the content that is filled in the gaps in that broad definition. Okay. Number two, concerning the Christian character index results, there were some surprises for me when I saw it. Number one, I'm very high on compassion. I work with a lot of drug addicts, so I'm pretty certain that, I mean, that's quite necessary when you're working with broken people. And so I'm high on compassion, but what I find is I'm low on thankfulness. And so that could be a result of the line of work I do, seeing a lot of pain and hurt. And sometimes I take things personally, so that could be one of the reasons, but this is something I'll have to kind of look into later. Concerning my leadership interview project, there were a lot of interesting concepts that I learned as I interviewed uh, Mr. Jonathan Mitchell. He's a director of Eastern Operations for Adult and Teen Challenge of Texas. He's a very big guy, very masculine, macho, so to speak, very independent, very strong willed. And so this I thought was going to be a very interesting one because he's so different than most people I encounter. So concerning the weaknesses, because that for sure was what I found to be was going to be the most difficult aspect, but I tried to really hone in on those weaknesses that I saw in regards to the Kozne-Posner model in our course text. So the number one uh, thing that I learned that was so important from this leadership interview project that I also saw was lacking in the leader was trust. Okay, trust. So in the Kozne-Posner model, uh, trust is really important when it comes to delegating tasks. You have to trust people in order to give them tasks to do. If you don't trust the people you work with, you're going to be like, well, he's not going to do a good job. I don't know if he's capable. You essentially don't really believe that they can do it. And so this is something that I saw was one of the issues. Um, when it comes to a leader being sort of independent like this one, strong-willed, like I can do it, that also leads to a lack of trust in others, but a strong sense of trust in themselves. And so there is trust, just not an overall trust in others. Um, Another aspect of trust that I've learned in this project is trust is also about relationship. And in relationships, when you're telling people what to do, you want them to do things correctly. You want to do it out of the sense of loyalty through relationship, and so you have to build trust in that regard. So that's another thing from the Kozne-Posner model that I've learned from. And so these are some various actions regarding trust that a leader needs to do. Concerning how trust fits within a sort of hierarchical structure of values, Lencioni's pyramid fills in that gap. So in Lencioni's model, trust is actually the foundational aspect of all forms uh, of issues that can come about. So if there's an absence of trust at the bottom, then all these other things follow, such as fear of conflict, lack of commitment, avoidance of team accountability, and inattention to results. And so trust is foundational in any organization, um, but it's also in any belief system. So beliefs about yourself, beliefs about your others, I can do it, I can't do it, they can do it, they can't do it. And so these are some elements of trust that really stood out to me concerning the project and how it's so important. Number two, communication. So if trust is the foundation as expressed in the pyramid model, Lencioni's, or the tower, then communication is the glue or the mortar that holds the bricks together of this structure. And so this reminds me of a story from the Tower of Babel. So in the Tower of Babel, you have this story of how people are unified in this vision, okay? And God does not want them to fulfill the present tasks to reach that vision. So what does he do? Of all the things God could have done in that story, what does he do? He disrupts their communication so that they scatter. And so just based on that biblical story, it's like it's like communication is very important. So one of the things that I also learned in the course was a video talk by Craig Groeschel, and he basically lays out a few elements of communication that is very important as a leader concerning those you lead. So one would be emotionally charged language. So you need to find expressive language so as to encourage those you lead, give them confidence in what they do, and not just emotionally charged language, but also word choice. So it's not just the tone of your voice, but also the words you choose. And so this is all important because encouraging the heart of those you lead uh, results in trust. So going back to the trust idea, which results in the relationship aspect. Concerning Koze and Posner's model as it relates to communication, listening was a big one that I got. So when we think about communication, a lot of times I always thought, okay, it's me speaking and others listening, right? But actually, listening is probably just as important as you communicating what you want from those you lead. And so to listen is to also build trust again because you are expressing that you value their opinions. You're not a lone wolf, as it says in our book, uh, that this is a team effort. And so overall, these are the major elements that I got from the Leadership Interview Project, as well as the course materials on what to be as a leader and what not to be. So that wraps up the video. Thank you.